It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
It's private investigator Ed Opperman, and this show is brought to you by pscoco.com, pscoco.com, pscocoa.com. Am I on here? Because I see my mic doesn't seem to be. Anyway, Phoebe Sada is an independent curator with the Cocoa Exchange. The Cocoa Exchange is formerly known as Dove Chocolate Discoveries. And they make the finest, silky, smooth chocolate because the products start with the best cocoa beans, which are tested for quality by expert technicians. The Cocoa Exchange offers not just premium chocolates, but everything from sauces and spices to brownie and cake mixes and even coffee and martini mixes. I haven't had a martini in 43 days. If you wish to treat yourself or someone you love to a sweet and tasty gift, then the Cocoa Exchange is the brand for you. pscoco.com. pscoco.com. Let's see. The audio is fine. Very good. We're on. Thank you. Okay. Well, I've got a big show tonight. A lot of stuff going on. Let's see. 42 days on the Daniel fast. Everybody has the number one email question I get. Been doing a Daniel fast for 41 days now. I feel great. Thank you for your asking and your concern. Okay. Coming up on the Opperman Show, Opperman Report Show. Next week, I have Donnie Most, who was Ralph Malph on Happy Days, as an appearance coming up in Connecticut, where he sings. He's a singer now, and he's going to be on our show here promoting his appearance coming up in Connecticut. I was not provided the address of the location by his wonderful agent, but we'll get to that next week when I record with him this Thursday. Oh, we have another guest coming on. Who's going to be talking about, is a very passionate fellow, he's described as by his publicist. I tell the publicist, he says, hey, you want to interview my client about this guy in the DNC who was arrested for child porn on his computer? And I says, well, okay, well, who's your client? What's his name? And he says, well, he's very passionate about this case. He gives me the guy's name. He's very passionate about this case. I says, well, does this passionate fellow have a bio? Like, who is he? What is he? Well, anyway, he passed the test there. He's going to come on the show this week. I've been talking about this a little bit in the chat room tonight. I got a big show coming up in 2 weeks. It's going to be making major news. I'm going to put out a press release on it. We have in our possession a 20-minute audio tape of a very famous convicted murderer who was involved in several murders, whose sentencing is up for review, okay? And this guy, we got him on tape confessing to an additional 30 murders and his partner, fingering his partner in 70 murders. So it's going to be a big show coming up. I can't tell you yet because we got so many nuts out there. I don't want to test my sources on this thing. But even the cops don't know about this. The DA doesn't know about this. The parole board doesn't know about this. And we got the tape, though. It's in my possession now, so it's a done deal. In the members section, updated. There's a great show on there with Trevor Aronson. We've had him on the show before. He's the guy that wrote the book about the FBI inserting this informants and stuff like that into these terrorist cases. And he did this excellent article about the FBI inserting these FBI agents and posing as journalists to do a documentary with the Bundy family, the Bundy Ranch brigade up there. So I got 70 or 80 minutes with him. And then I was so excited after the show, I did a half-hour commentary by myself. So there's 2 segments up there in the Opperman Report member section at OppermanReport.com. You can go there, become a member tonight, and you can listen to that show tonight. It's up there already. Michael Butterfield is joining the member section soon. We did a show about the Zodiac. His website is called ZodiacKillerFacts.com. I enjoyed that show very much. Michael Butterfield was kind enough to do the interview twice because the first time I deleted the interview by mistake and my computer froze up and we lost it. Got Jim Poorman coming on. I'm taping with him on Monday. Now, if you enjoyed Stephen Hager, you're going to love Jim Poorman, okay? He wrote the book, The Poorman's Guide to Eating Cheap, you know, and that kind of stuff like that. He wrote those books. But he was also on Loveline. He was the first co-host with Dr. Phil on Loveline. And he's got a gripe with Dr. Phil. He's got a gripe with Adam Carolla. He's got a gripe with everybody. And this guy rants and raves, man. This guy can go off. So we got him coming on the show to blow up everybody. By the way, for people who enjoyed the show tonight with Stephen Hager, the former editor of High Times and the founder of the Cannabis Cup, I just want you to know that that show, that interview, we have breaking news since we recorded that interview. When he announced he had done that interview and we talked about it, it was up on YouTube for a couple of hours by mistake. And that brought High Times back to the negotiating table with our guest there, Steve Hager. So we actually made a difference in that case. Cold Case Cameron. Remember Cold Case Cameron? Edward Wayne Edwards has murdered everyone, including the Jack the Ripper case. But we got him coming back. I'm going to be taping with him and putting in the member section. Tomorrow is a very, very big show. Okay? And everybody, it's a very important show, too, because we have the lawyers that are suing the DNC for fraud in that class action lawsuit. And this is the case where everyone, remember you sort of used to see the meme about Sean Lucas, the lead attorney for this lawsuit, was found dead in his bathroom. Well, Sean Lucas was actually the process server, and we actually have the lead attorneys on his case who are alive and well. But they know a lot of information, okay? We're going to be talking about Sean Lucas, okay? We're going to be talking about Seth Rich. They have very passionate opinions about that. And also, too, about this prosecutor, this federal prosecutor that was involved in the passports investigations and prosecutions, who was found dead, washed up in the ocean with his clothes still on. And he still had his dress shirt and pants on. You know, it wasn't like he was out there swimming with a head injury. There's a lot of speculation that death is also a murder, and it might be connected to Debbie Wasserman Schultz and these Awan brothers, you know, who seem to have confiscated, taken off. They fled the country, but with some DNC hard drives and computer equipment and some information. I got a big show coming up about the old. Remember the movie I Know My Name is Steven, about Steven Strainer? I got a bombshell show coming out about that. Okay, that everything we've suspected about that case, I believe to be true. I've been talking to somebody off the air for about a year and a half now, passing me little tidbits here and there. There's child pornography involved in this case, meth dealing, marijuana dealing. His brother was the Yosemite killer. Turns out the Yosemite, he worked at the same place as the guys who kidnapped Stephen. His uncle was molesting at 11 years old, the same time Stephen was kidnapped. The uncle was murdered a year after Stephen dies mysteriously in a hit-and-run accident. A lot of weird stuff. Even the guy who wrote the book, I Know My Name is Steven, Eccles, this character, he died in jail while he was facing charges on public lewdness. And he talks about how he infiltrated NAMBLA. So even there's some suspicion about this character. So a lot of stuff going on here. Okay, got to talk fast because we don't have a lot of time. Okay, Tiger Woods was in the news this week, right? And you caught that, right? Now, DUI, and this is blood alcohol was 0, but you know he admitted he was on some kind of Ambien and other kind of painkillers for his back injury. I've always believed he was an addictive personality because, as you may not know, but I'm the PI who worked on the Tiger Woods case that I vetted out all those 15 women, the 15 mistresses. The reason why the whole world says there's 15 mistresses with Tiger Woods is because that was my job. I decided who was a mistress and who wasn't. I went through their phone records and through their emails and all kind of stuff like that. Recovered deleted texts from their cell phones and their hard drives, and interviewed all these witnesses, these women. And that was me. That was my case. So I'm very, very familiar with the Tiger Woods case. And if you go back, okay, because when I saw this in the news, and I've been talking lately about how, when I come here and I report something to you, I get so pissed off because a week later someone will send me an article or a YouTube video about some kind of nonsense, some kind of flaky crap, you know, and I get so upset because I says, listen, this is something I work, this is something I know about, this I know firsthand because I worked in this case and I'm telling you about it. sometimes I can't tell you I worked on a case. I'm trying to tell you, but I can't. Okay? I wish I could tell you. But the Tiger Woods case is a perfect example because if you go back around 2 years ago, the first interview, I was interviewed by Chuck Ocelli on the Ocelli Effect. The first time he interviewed me. You can find that interview. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's in the members section at OppermanReport.com. And if you go on there, you'll hear me talking about Tiger Woods and how one of these mistresses was his former babysitter, okay? And everyone attacked me at the time, and they said, oh, Ed, it wasn't his babysitter. His wife was his best friend's babysitter, and they met, and you got it all confused. That, well, now you can go and you can find these articles. Yes, he also dated his babysitter. That came out now. But I knew about it way back. And if you listen to that interview, too, you'll hear me talking about Anthony Weiner and how he was mixed up with teenagers, and we all knew he was mixed up with teenagers. This is 2 years ago, okay, before all this stuff hit the news. You got to give me a break here, guys. So many times I'm reporting on a story, and it's something where I know the people involved, or it's an actual case that I'm working on. And I've spoken directly to everybody involved, and I have people send me articles. They tell me that I'm wrong, or YouTube articles tell me I'm wrong. And another perfect example, okay, is Rick Lambert, who was the FBI special agent in charge of anthrax. And when articles came out, when he filed his lawsuit against the FBI, all these articles came out that were totally wrong. I got the only audio interview with this guy. Okay, you look for him. Find another interview when someone interviewed this guy on the radio. And he says all that stuff you read in those articles are incorrect. Same thing with Sean Lucas. You see the memes. Sean Lucas is the lawyer involved in the lead lawyer. He was a process server. I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow. The same thing happened here, okay, here in Las Vegas this past week. And there was a case of this man, Tashii Farmer, was a 40-year-old man. He was in the Venetian Hotel, and he came to contact with Las Vegas Metro Police Department, and they choked him to death. They strangled him to death in a chokehold. First, they shot him with a taser 7 times, and then they gave him the chokehold. And you can look at all the news articles about this, okay? And because there were some protesters this week that were protesting this. They were attacked by a guy with a knife. But if you read the news articles, it'll sound like the protesters are the one that turned violent. There's a dozen videos of this on Facebook. I know these people personally. You're going to be hearing from 2 of them in a minute. But there's a little more to it. I don't have much time. But there's an allegation, too. And then some of these people were arrested for jaywalking and blocking traffic and using a medium sidewalk incorrectly, improper use of a sidewalk, all these kind of crazy charges that people don't even believe me when I try to tell them they exist. But compare this, where there was about 40 protesters and there was about 100 police, okay, response. And also, too, Sheldon Adelson's a security guard, his Mossad and Secret Service security guards that he uses here, okay? Sheldon Adelson owns the Review Journal. He owns Las Vegas Sun. So everything reported in the papers goes through his filter, through his side. He's the one that put the pressure on the police to shut down his protest. Compare this to when MoveOn.org, when I reported to you earlier in the year, when MoveOn.org hijacked one of our rallies here, and they promoted the hell out of it. They bust in protesters and stuff like that. There was a whole bunch of shadiness going on with that. I busted them wide open, man. Even the girl who originally organized it called me up. And she admitted to me. They told me to lie to you, Ed. I got to admit this. But the point I'm trying to make is compare that rally that was controlled by the MoveOn.org and this organic rally that were the protesters were attacked by a man with a knife, and when they complained to the police about it, they were arrested. And they let the attacker free. This armed, drunken man. Go on your way, Mr. Drunk with a knife, because he was carrying 2 knives. Go down the strip here. You're drunk in public. You're attacking people. You got pulling on knives on people. Go down the strip here and go attack somebody else. That's what they did. Now, compare that to the MoveOn.org rally where the police actually blocked traffic in order for the paid protesters and these MoveOn.org shills to stage a sit-in for a photo op blocking the street in front of the Trump Hotel. And they were given water. They had reserved parking at one of the casinos. That's the difference between a controlled opposition and real organic opposition. And it's a shame that a lot of people who are locally can't see the difference, and that they're not seeking out people with the experience and the age and the wisdom to advise them on these kind of things. Because I got to tell you something, I'm disgusted in a lot of ways by the naivete and the gullibility of some of these local activists here that are just leaving themselves wide open to a hijack and infiltration. Anyway, my first guest. Okay, we are joined by Melissa Freya Score. You might remember Melissa because she's been on the show before, talking about different things. We were talking about the Dakota pipeline and stuff like that, and Bernie Sanders rallies and stuff we would go to. So Melissa was at this rally on the Strip at the Venetian Hotel on Sunday afternoon in protest to draw attention to the police murder of Tashii Farmer, who was a 40-year-old man. He was in a Venetian hotel. No warrants, nobody called the police to seek him out or anything like that, but he came into contact with the Las Vegas Metro Police Department, and then next thing you know, he's been tased 7 times, and they had a chokehold him, an illegal chokehold, by the way, on him, and succumbed to his death. And even the police themselves at their press conference have admitted that they would have nothing to have arrested him on, but he's dead now. So here's a guy to be walking around alive today, right now, fine. But is dead because of contact with the Las Vegas Metro Police Department. So Melissa Freya Score went there to draw attention to this with her local group here, All Shades United. So Melissa, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, don't forget to speak up. So tell us what happened. Why did you go to this rally to begin with?
Well, I went to this rally because Tashii Brown was murdered by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police, and, we need to kind of, speak up about, what's going on in our communities, and, this has happened, multiple times, and it's happening all over, and they're getting away with it. The guy that choked Tashii, he just has a paid leave right now and stuff, and he's getting paid vacation for murdering somebody.
Yeah, and here in Vegas, people who've died at the hands of Las Vegas Metro Police Department, unarmed people who could not be charged with crimes legally, there hasn't been a conviction of one of these cops in over 30 years. So, we're in a really, really bad situation here in Vegas. So you show up at this rally. How many people were at the rally?
There's about 100 people at the rally. Maybe 100, 150, about. Okay.
And 100, 150. And you've been to a lot of these rallies on the Strip there. We out in front of Bellagio all the time. But this was a different location by the Venetian. Compared to the normal rallies that we've attended together, how many police showed up at this one compared to normal rallies that we've had before?
There was probably about 40 police officers within 20 minutes of what was going on, and then they brought out, the horses, they brought out, practically, all of the Metropolitan Police. I mean, there was a lot of people there. I've never seen, so many cops, and we've had rallies that are bigger than this, but, it's...
Yeah, that's quite a big response. Okay. Now, you wonder why. Could it be because you think the reason is because this was a protest against the police murder of an unarmed civilian?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been to plenty of them.
Yeah.
Like the Women's March and stuff, and we had maybe 8 cops riding alongside of us, protecting us. And there was, quadruple how many people were there. I mean, geez.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there have been other rallies, too, where the cops were kind of friendly and helpful and kind of helping with traffic control.
Yeah.
Was there that kind of help and assistance and coordination with the police at this event?
Definitely not. Yeah, there was, definitely the cops, they were trying to kind of cut off our resources at one point. They started arresting our Las Vegas street medic collective here in Las Vegas. They went out for our medics. They took everybody that was marked as a medic first, and arrested them.
And do we know what they were charged with?
They weren't charged except for, one was for, I think it was like something like jaywalking, like not yielding to, pedestrians or something like that.
Jaywalker. Okay. Now, is this jaywalker, is he on the loose right now? Should we warn the citizens to lock their doors and windows about this jaywalker?
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone keep an eye out. There's a jaywalker loose. The police released him.
Yeah.
Now, but it's really not funny because you were arrested. Now, but before everything was going fine, they started arresting the medics. Then there was an incident. Can you describe that incident?
Okay, so we, wanted to get our message to the people, that were driving, and we were kind of just scattering alongside the crosswalk while it was like, on walk still and stuff, and,
marching back and forth across the street. And then then appeared
just with our signs, so they could, see them and stuff. And, there was a man that, disagreed with us and stuff. And, that's totally fine. But he grabbed, one of, a girl that was hooked, to my arm and stuff. And, he had, a weapon on him and stuff. And, he was, holding it, to her and stuff. And
well, let's stop there for a second. Okay, the guy, it's been reported that he was wearing a "Make America Great" hat.
Yeah, he was wearing a "Make America Great Again" hat, and
Okay, and he had his shirt off, and he was covered in tattoos. It's been described too that these were like Nazi tattoos or Aryan kind of tattoos or something. Did you see that?
Personally, I didn't really see the tattoos. Yeah, the one on the back. I don't know. He had one on the back, and I thought it said something weird, but it was like "forgiven" or something on his back.
Well, that's good. Okay, but he did have.
At least he's forgiven.
Yeah, at least he's forgiven. Yeah, but he did have a knife sheath in the back of his belt that was built into his belt. That could hold a knife, and then you said he had another knife in his pocket?
Yeah, he had another, switchblade type knife in his right pocket.
Okay, so he had two knives, armed with two. So an armed man approached the peaceful demonstration, and then there's a woman, Rachel Ciotta. We're going to have her on the show later. He confronted her, and what happened there? He knocked her to the ground?
Yeah, he put her in a chokehold and, knocked her to the ground. And, then he reached in his right pocket and I saw a blade. Okay, now,
Rachel Ciotta, she was in a video, too, with you on Facebook, I saw, right? So you witnessed she had some large bruise to her arm.
Yeah, definitely. She was at my release and stuff, and she could barely walk. She had like a cane and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, because at first, I think she was kind of like in shock and adrenaline because, you don't feel it right away. But yeah, she looked, really roughed up, her bruising on her arm. Like, I don't even know how that can happen,
Yeah, not only that, too, but I've talked to her, and she was traumatized by this. She was seriously traumatized.
Oh, yeah.
And she doesn't appear like the kind of person that was confrontational in any kind of way. She seemed like a really timid type. Yeah, right. So out of all the people let's say all the snowflakes this guy could attack, he picked out the one who was the least threatening to him out of the crowd in order to attack and knock to the ground and then bruise her arm. Now, after this incident, was this armed man who just committed this battery upon this woman in full view of how many cops, 40, 50 cops at the time, was he arrested?
No, he was not. Well, they detained him for about 5 minutes, and then I saw them talking to him on the side and stuff, and I hadn't been detained yet, but they let him go after just asking him like probably basic information. It was really bizarre because they didn't ask Rachel what was wrong. They didn't ask her like, oh, what happened. She was just arrested.
Right. There's no way they could have missed, because you could see in videos that the guy was on the floor rolling around. There's no doubt that there was an altercation took place in the middle of the street, and right away they put this guy in handcuffs because they must have realized that he was the instigator, because at that point no one else was being put in handcuffs. He was the only one, right? Yeah,
it was him, and then there's this other guy, like 2 guys. They went for first.
Well, let me stop you for a second. When they were talking to this guy here with the tattoos and the knife, did you notice them writing down any notes when they were talking to him, like taking down his name or anything?
Not really. It seemed like it was mostly verbal. They could have had a pad. I wasn't really, paying attention too much. I was kind of worried about the safety of others kind of around me.
So then,
making sure everyone was okay, because they took our medics.
And now, there's a video too that after that, I guess the negotiator, cop in charge, was having a conversation with a gentleman who represents the new Black Panther Party. And he's the only one there from the new Black Panther Party, right?
Yeah.
There's one guy, okay. This one new Black Panther guy. And he's talking to the cop, and they're going back and forth. And the cop is even trying to shake his hand and give him a fist bump. And then the cop was saying, well, everything's okay. What you guys are doing is legal. But then suddenly they pounce and start making arrests. Am I correct?
Yeah. They actually arrested him after that.
Right. He was the first one they snatched up. Yeah. Right after
like, oh, you're cool, but, we're going to kidnap you.
Yeah, and the interview with that cop, too, the one who was the negotiator, he seemed kind of shooken up by the whole thing, the turn of events right before his eyes, but because when they were interviewing him, he was all out of breath and really shook up. So then they come after you, and they grab you out of this crowd, out of all these people. They take you, and we could see you asking, why am I being arrested? Why am I being arrested? At that point, did you have any idea of why you were being arrested?
No, I had no clue, why I was being arrested.
Okay, so then they take you, and did they take you off to the side and talk to you and let you go?
No, they didn't even talk to me. They wouldn't even tell me why I was being detained. They slammed me against the van and stuff, and that was about it. I mean,
okay, then
how many? Tell me really anything.
How many others did you notice were arrested right after you? Because you were like one of the first ones, right? And by the way, Melissa's a 19-year-old girl. She's blonde hair, blue eyes. What do you weigh, like 110 pounds?
140.
140. Oh, I guess you've been gaining weight, huh?
I'm trying to stay.
Got to lay off those cheeseburgers, Melissa. No, but the reason why you're gaining weight is you're working out to go into the Army, right? You foolishly enlisted into the armed forces. Is that correct?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're trying to put on some muscle there because you want to go fight those Taliban. Now,
yeah.
How many of your friends or co-activists did you see get arrested with you at that point?
Well, I was around. I think I was maybe almost the last person to get arrested.
Oh, really? Okay.
All of my comrades in All Shades United. There was about 5 or 6 of All Shades United that were, they just started snatching like anyone that had a shirt on, because we were all kind of matching. They just assumed we were like the ringleaders of it, and there was no reasoning behind it. They didn't even get to say anything. They didn't have the rights read to them. They were just thrown in the back of the van.
Okay, and then did they take you to a holding area, or did they take you right over to CCDC?
No, they took us over to a holding area, like under a bridge and stuff. It's a little shady,
Shady meaning out of the sun, or shady, suspicious?
Suspicious. It was really weird because the actual, like, the Clark County facility is only like a mile away or so from the Venetian.
Right.
And they took us like like 5 miles or something going, this other way, but it was where another bus was, to load some more people on and stuff, some of the street medics and stuff. But the street medics, help the cops. They help, everybody. That's the whole point. Like, they're neutral in the situation. They're just there to help anybody that needs it.
Right. Now, did you notice any Venetian security guys, private security guards involved in all this?
Oh, yeah. There was plenty of them. One of the security guards, was asking me, like, oh, hey, didn't I trespass you, and stuff. And
this is after you were in custody?
I was like, no. Yeah, it was a little bit before I was recording the arrest and stuff, and I was trying to get, some video, making sure everyone was okay and stuff, so...
What about after you were in custody? Did any contact with Venetian security at that point?
No, not really.
By the way, Sheldon Adelson is the one who owns Venetian, and he also owns the Review Journal that's reporting on all this, very one-sided. And he had a lawsuit against him previously. I'll look this up, and I'll report on it after this recording. But where his security team, which were all Israeli Mossad agents, sued him because of his racism too. By the way, that he wouldn't hire any black security guards. I got to look that up, and we'll report on that after the segment here. Now, they take you to jail. Tell me what happened after this staging area.
Well, after the staging area, they left us we were left in the van for a few hours, and then we were, transferred. They made us, take off our shoes and stuff and get on the bus, and they just left us there and stuff for a while, but, we were all together, so that was kind of nice.
Okay. And plus, people's shoes are off. Probably a lot of smelly feet, right? Okay.
Yeah, true.
I know. So now you get to
make you suffer a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Did you notice people scooting away from you, getting away from your feet, or was that... No, your feet were one of the good ones? Okay, good. That's how you can tell who your friends are. Now, when you get to the jail, you were telling me off the air, it's not funny, but off the air you were telling me about how they were mistreated you at the jail. Tell us what happened there.
I was wearing a, All Shades United shirt, and it's just a, solidarity thing. It's, unity with everybody, it's nothing, bad. And, it was, long sleeve, and it was really cold in there. And they put me, in the closet and stuff. And I told them, I didn't want to, take it off and stuff. I'm not going to take it off and stuff. And, they forced it off of me and stuff. And, gave me this T-shirt, and it was freezing in there.
And you said that they were taunting you as well?
Yeah, they were taunting me. They were saying, they didn't like, the All Shades, United. They were telling me, it's, yeah, they were kind of using racial slurs and stuff too. I mean,
against blacks or whites?
Against black people.
So all of the correction officers and all the cops were all white?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. There's one guy in booking that was black, but he was just doing his own thing. Okay.
Now, and also, too, you said something about that they need you, or they were physically brutal to you?
Yeah, I was, they were walking me and stuff, and, one of them kneed me in the back of the leg, and they said, oh, this is what you get for, protesting and for what you stand for and stuff like that. So.
Really?
Yeah.
And then there's another transgender local activist that we see all the time. I forget her name, but what were you telling me about what happened with her?
Yeah, she was seated, with the women because she's, a woman, and they told there was a guy making trans slurs, telling him, you're not a girl, get the fuck over there, you're a guy.
Watch the language, okay. All right.
Yeah, and then he, got up and or the cop, came over, to her and, kind of she started like pulling on her, like forcing her to go over there, and she wasn't resisting too much, but she was just kind of shocked that he put his hands on her and stuff and forced her to go sit in the front with the males.
Okay. All right. So then was it uneventful the rest of the time?
What?
Did anything else significant happen during your time in custody?
When I had a visitor and stuff, I was brought up, the stairs and stuff, and they were kind of, pushing me up the stairs and stuff like that. And, I was really shocked to hear the way that, the officers were talking to the people and, the processing and stuff. Like, I was shocked. Like, I knew it was corrupt from the outside, but it's even worse. Like, they don't care. They're just, hanging out. There's like 6 of them sitting around, talking about, the protest and, some other stuff, and just making some racial slurs that are, unacceptable for someone that's supposed to protect and serve our community.
Okay, so now in your whole life, you've never been arrested before?
No.
Okay, and I've known you for a long time, and you've always been employed. You've always been employed since you were like a kid, right?
Yeah.
And you just enlisted in the U.S. Army?
Yeah.
Okay, but not you're still pending, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now
probably not anymore.
Well, now, especially someone who knows that they're innocent and haven't done anything wrong, the trauma of being handcuffed and mistreated and your freedom withheld from you, how does that feel? Have you been traumatized from all this?
Yeah, I've been, very traumatized by the way I was treated. I didn't do anything wrong, and that's, I can understand if, something happened, if I did something, but, it's traumatizing because, I've never, seen any of this, and I've never been treated, this bad. I've been mistreated by cops before,
yeah.
But, it's way different.
Yeah, people have no idea how, even being detained in handcuffs is so humiliating and traumatizing.
Yeah.
It just turns your whole world upside down to have your freedom taken from you with no jury, no judge, no nothing. And to be transported around and then mistreated inside the jail. You're not eating, you're not drinking correctly. That's for nothing. And a person, there is no reason for someone like Melissa Score to be in handcuffs or be put in jail. There's nothing this kid's ever done in her life that would warrant this. No one should be any fear of this kid. If you, I'll put a picture up on the blog. If you see her, there's a very kind looking young lady. Okay, Melissa, we're out of time, but anything you want to leave us with?
I just want to see, some justice for, the victims and the family of the victim, Tashii Brown. They deserve some, peace of mind, and I don't think, Metro should be giving him paid vacation while they're, investigating this situation. He should be fired.
Well, actually, in my opinion, he should be arrested because, it's an illegal hold. And,
oh, yeah, definitely.
And the guy admits himself that, we had nothing to charge this man with. There would be no, you know what I mean? But for his death, there would be nothing to charge this man. He'd be walking free anyway. But because he came into contact, now he's dead. So, okay, Melissa Freya-Score, thank you so much. Good luck with your court case. And keep in touch with us with that. And anything comes up, we'll put you right back on air whenever you need to go on.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. 3. Okay, and we're joined by Rachel Ciota, who was there at the march the other day on the strip in front of the Venetian. And Rachel is actually the woman who was attacked by this armed man with the tattoos, a shirtless armed man with the Trump hat and with the knife. So Rachel, are you there?
Hello, yes, I'm here.
Well, give us an idea. What brought you over there to the rally on Sunday?
I went over down to the strip on Sunday. It was Memorial Day weekend, and I thought the best way to, honor those who fought for a right of free speech would be to join and go down and talk about, the injustices that are still being faced in this country, about people who are still dying in this country, despite how many men and women fought for, the rights of everyday Americans. And I just really wanted to go down. I mean, I'm mixed race. I'm Cuban, and the violence in the black and brown community is an epidemic that happens. The black and brown community is unfairly targeted by the police, and I can't just sit by and watch people in the community be unfairly killed when their only crime is their skin color.
Right, and the guy who was killed in the Venetian parking lot, Tashii Farmer, was a black man, 40 years old, and tased 7 times, and then choked to death with an illegal chokehold. And again, like we were saying before, is that no charges. This guy had no pending charges, no warrants, or nothing. Would be walking around free today. No complaint. No one called up to complain about this guy. Nothing. But for coming into contact with the police, he was tased and choked to death. Hey, and even they said they would have nothing to arrest him on.
Yeah, I even heard that at one point the cops were trying to justify it as, we thought he was trying to carjack another vehicle, and the owner of the car was like, no, I don't think he was. There was nothing that they could even try to say, he was doing this or that. It's just
so you were there.
Black America.
Now you were there at the march on Sunday. Sunday. Now, have you been at other marches and other rallies, Black Lives Matter and the No Doppel and all that kind of stuff? Have you been to those before?
I've been to other marches. I was at the Women's March
a
few months ago. It took place in Vegas, and just a few other, small get-togethers, but never really any huge protests like this.
Now, have you ever seen this much police presence at any of the rallies or protests you've been to previously?
I have not. I mean, most rallies and protests I've been to, there's maybe a couple of police officers that are just there to, either show their support of what we're doing or make sure people don't try to, break through us in traffic. But it's never as many as I've seen at the Venetian. There were cops hiding everywhere. I saw at least 5 or 6 cops hiding around the corner and up in the Venetian. There were more cops than I've ever seen at a protest.
Okay, now the newspapers, the local papers here, that happen to be owned by the same guy that owns the Venetian. Okay, well, we're, we might as well say it. Then they report that violence broke out at this rally on the Strip. Now, you are the one that was the target of that violence. Okay, can you describe what happened to you?
Yeah. The quote violence that broke out at the Black Lives Matter protest was not by the protesters. I wish the media would take time to correct themselves and stop telling people that the violence was by the protesters. We were being as peaceful as we could. We were letting cars come through. We were allowing people to go on their day-to-day life. And I'm standing next to a few other women, and we see a shirtless man covered in tattoos with a Make America Great Again hat on. And he's just yelling at us and walking up to us, trying to push us and shove us apart. And at one point, he got just a couple inches away from my face and just started yelling, move, move. And when I wouldn't, acknowledge him or talk to him or do anything, that's when he shoved me down. I mean, palm out, full shove down. He put me in a chokehold and tried to pull a knife out. Before he arrived, everything was super peaceful.
Now, where did his hand, when he shoved you, what does his hand physically come into contact with you?
He shoved me, on the side of, my chest near my arm, pushed me down sideways. I fell, full force onto the side of my arm. I actually have a pretty sizable bruise from it. And when I got up, it was just dirt and everything on me. It wasn't accidental shove. Like, it was a full-on push.
Right, and I've seen pictures of the bruises. There's immediate pictures, a video of you right after the attack where you're holding your arm, and then later on, I've seen pictures of the bruises. Now, another thing, too, I've seen in some of these videos and some of the pictures that when this guy is confronting the protesters, that there are men there. There's men there nearby.
Yeah.
But he was, and you don't come off as like an intimidating type woman. He went to
I'm not that strong. I mean, I was just standing there with my little backpack, and I don't know. I think he deliberately decided to walk up to the women thinking that men would probably, men would be too much of an issue for him, but he thought he could bully us women. So that was...
Well, that's how you make America great again. That's how that's his goal.
Sexism and classic misogyny.
but the thing is that he definitely had an opportunity to confront some men, and even the women around you, and he picked pretty much the most peaceful, meek seeming woman there. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but like kind of you're the kind of person not very confrontational. Okay.
I mean, even when I do go to protest rallies, I'm usually just sitting down watching. I mean, I have a cane with me. It's not like I'm running around and, usually on bad days I have a cane and I walk around and just try to sit and stay out of the way and not like overexert myself. It's not like I'm going to be, running in front of people and pushing them down. I mean, I don't know why he chose me, but I think he just thought, she's weak.
Yeah, right. Right. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, you had kind of like a week. And I'm told we talked yesterday or the day before. I forget what it was. And I heard how traumatized you've been by this. I've seen other videos, and it's very traumatizing to be attacked by a man, for a woman to be attacked by a man, especially a guy. This is not a small guy. This is a big, muscular guy.
Yeah.
And very angry and drunk. And he was carrying one of those big, giant glasses of margaritas, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously inebriated, and besides the fact being drunk and harassing people, the fact that he had a knife on him, too, is what really terrifies me, that, alcohol and knives, not a great combination, especially in a place like Vegas where it can go... it can go sideways really quick.
Now, did you see him actually display the knife?
I actually didn't even know he had a knife. Melissa was the one who saw him pull out a knife.
Right.
And, she was the one who was like, this guy's got a knife. And I'm glad she said something. I'm forever thankful for her, because if she hadn't noticed, I wouldn't be surprised if he would have tried to, like, kill me. Okay,
so then you get to your feet and you make it over to the police to get help, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what happened then?
I thought, giving a statement would help the police. Like, hi, I'm the one who got assaulted. I was there in the middle of, traffic after this guy pushed me. I walk up and they sort of look over me and they're like, okay, no scrapes or bruises on your ears or your face or anything. And when they find out, you're down here supporting the cause, well, you must be a protester. And next thing I know, I'm in handcuffs up against a cop car while I look over, and the guy with the knife that assaulted me, they had handcuffed him and brought him away, but when they were handcuffing me, he was just walking around free to go on his day, just laughing and looking at us and just going on with his weekend.
Now, did you notice if they had a pad out to take down his name or any kind of information from this guy?
I didn't notice any of that. I mean, all I know is, they took him away to try to just de-escalate the situation, but instead of taking statements and getting this guy's name, they just let him go, and they just started locking up us protesters.
Okay, but then other people in the rally, like such as Melissa, were charged with battery, and this would be the supposed guy who was battered in this attack when he was attacking people. So they didn't take down his name even as a witness, as a complainant. They had to have.
We still don't know his name.
Right.
we don't know who he is. And if Metro knows, they didn't release the name at all, even in the newspapers. You know, it just mentions, you know, that a man was, quote, attacked by this person and this person. It doesn't mention like, oh, you know, John Smith of whatever was attacked.
What contact have you had with the news media to report on this?
After the attack, there was a period before I talked to the police that one of the street medics was able to break me away from everything and check on me, make sure I was okay. Review Journal.
I have no hope there,
asked me a few questions, make sure I'm okay, but, you know, the media is mostly just getting information from what they've seen.
Yeah, Review Journal's owned by Adelson, who where the murder took place. Okay.
Yeah.
And there was there were Adelson not bodyguards, security. There were Venetian security guards there that were in there in conjunction with the police also.
They were taking pictures of me as I was giving a statement. I don't know why, but I just remember, you know, walking and after giving a statement, someone walks up and they go, that guy behind you just took a picture. And I turn around, there's some guy with a suit on who obviously has something to do with the Venetian. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm banned now.
Yeah, they'll trespass you from the property. You might want to look up the situation with the Adelson and the lawsuit from his bodyguards, his security staff there at the Venetian suing him. Because, again, for racism, because he wouldn't hire any black bodyguards. He would only have Israeli Mossad bodyguards is all he wants to have. I'm going to have to look that up and report on that. Now, okay, now they take in handcuffs. What? You must have been in total shock.
I mean, you know, I'm not one to have huge faith in the police system, but I was always, you know, under the impression that if a woman gets assaulted in broad daylight, you don't lock the woman up. You know, they put me up against a cop car and put me in the van, and I had a couple police officers mock different things about me. You know, I told them, I have PTSD and I have these certain conditions. And as they're loading me into the cop van, they go, oh, careful with that one. She's got mental issues. Like that somehow justifies it. I was just still in shock. They're like, why am I being handcuffed when, you know, right there's a guy who attacked me. Don't you want to go over there and cuff him?
And what did you say? I want him arrested right now?
I went up. That's the only reason that they cuffed me is because I said, I want to make a statement against that guy. You know, he was the one who assaulted me. And they wouldn't even let me finish making statements. They just found out I was there and they started questioning me.
Have you seen
Have
you seen any of the officer's name, the arresting officer's name on your complaint?
I think it's got to be on here. Yeah.
Okay, and would that be the same one that you told, hey, that's the man that assaulted me? Or would that be the same man who was talking to this guy who did the assaulting?
You know, there were like at least 20 different police officers there, and they were just shuffling me from one police officer to another. Like the one person who took me aside, and then one person took my statement, and then another one, and then one woman cuffed me, and another woman searched me. So it was not just one police officer. They deliberately took me to as many different police officers as I could, so I couldn't remember names.
And then they took you to that staging area under a bridge? Yeah.
A couple of people who were also at the protest, I think they were, you know, either street medics or just concerned people came by asking if I was okay. Police said, oh, you need to leave. You can't be here. You know, and then, of course, turn around and helping tourists like, oh, of course, if you're lost, we can help you. We'd be more than welcome to help you while keeping me separated from everyone else.
And then they loaded you on a bus and they made you take your shoes off?
Yeah.
Did they give you those
nice giant orange flip-flops?
Okay, they gave you the flip-flops. Okay. All right. You could be shoe bombers. You never know. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Not only that, they made a point. I have a belly button ring.
Okay.
They decided to take that out while I was in handcuffs in case, I don't know, I tried to, like, use that as a weapon.
Now, this was...
good thing you got that out.
This was at the jail or this was before the jail?
This was before the jail. This was right before they loaded me into the bus. They took my, you know, body jewelry out. They took my shoes off. they put the chains around my waist. All of us had the chains around our waist.
Right.
So.
Okay. So then they take you down to the jail. They fingerprint you and all that kind of stuff like that. Was there any mistreatment while you were at the jail?
Not for me personally. There was a transgender person there who the police not only constantly misgendered, with the person, identifying as a woman, they would not let that person be processed with other women, and even said things like, "Oh, you're not a woman, you're a man, sit down," and made comments about maybe he needs ice for his vagina, which was absolutely disgusting.
In what context does that come up?
Just because the transgendered individual was trying to say, like, no, I do not want to be processed with the men. I identify as this. And at one point she said something about, I need my estrogen every 4 hours, and police just started laughing.
Okay. That was after the intake? Because you see a nurse when they take you in there.
Yeah, that was while she was seeing the nurse. She was telling the nurse, and the police were just laughing their heads off at the idea, saying, "Oh, you're not a woman. Like, something's wrong with you."
Okay. And when they put you in the holding cell, were you with other protesters as well? People you knew?
Yeah.
Okay. Now there was an issue too with the forcing some of the activists to remove their shirts because it had All Shades United on it.
Yeah.
What was that?
Anything All Shades United or anything Black Lives Matter related, or even that the officers thought might be Black Lives Matter related, they had them remove their shirts and put them in, the jail uniforms. They didn't, make me change into an outfit. Like, I was just wearing like a tank top. They didn't make me change. So it's not even like they were trying to get us all into the uniform for mugshots. It was just as a, this will show you.
Right. Okay. Now, did you see any of the other, besides the transgendered person? Because Melissa describes being kneed in the back and stuff like that. Did you see anything like that?
I didn't see any of that, but okay. I wouldn't be surprised if, as they were taking a few of us away and the other few were left behind, if they got a couple of shots on other people.
And what about the verbally abusive regarding race or being a protester or anything like that?
I know that, when they found out we were protesters, they definitely treated us worse.
Right.
It was, like I said, as soon as they found out I was on the side of the protesters and that I agreed with the protesters, it suddenly wasn't, "Oh my God, ma'am, are you okay?" It was, "Oh, why don't you step aside with us?"
Right. Now, this is the first time you've been arrested?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty traumatizing, right?
It's definitely traumatizing, yes. I mean, not how I expected to spend my weekend, especially for something like standing up against a murder,
and then, Yeah, getting attacked to boot. Now, did you have to spend the night in jail, overnight?
I didn't. My boyfriend, Nick, who was, one of the people who was also there, he was, like, taking photos, but because he tried to separate the guy from me, they wanted to try to charge him with battery, so they made him spend a night.
Okay, and on his paperwork, he doesn't know who the attacker is?
No.
Okay, not
No,
yet.
even though, they're charging against him, we still don't know who the person is.
Okay. All right. Is there anything I forgot to ask you?
I don't think so, but like I said, not only just how police deliberately decided to put all their men and women out there for a protest just to arrest us, but then just the mistreatment by various officers. I mean, insulting people with disabilities, insulting people on their gender. They were, little things like I told them, like, "Hey, I need my inhaler," and they said, "Oh yeah, sure, you can have that with you," and then, didn't let me have my inhaler or any of my meds. Them I have PTSD because I asked about any health issues. They started questioning me and doubting. I'm like, oh, are you sure you're actually diagnosed? Are you sure you have mental issues? Just, trying to make it seem like, oh, this person's unstable. Like, let's not believe anything they say.
Yeah, you think 40 cops show up for this little rally? A lot of you got to go to these things. I've been to these things. A lot of these are old women. These are like old women. Yeah. It's not like the young muscle bound youngsters. These are old. I'm an old man myself, but these are old women and some old men too. It's not like a hostile environment, and usually there's no police whatsoever, except when it's Black Lives Matter. Then there's a bunch of cops. They'll bring like 10, 15 cops, but nothing like I've heard over this weekend, which makes you think that they had a special interest because it was due to a cop murdering an unarmed man. Yeah,
if it was a bunch of like veterans or soldiers, standing up, I guarantee you they would not have been jailed or detained. I guarantee you that if it was, anything other than a Black Lives Matter protest, the police wouldn't have even cared.
Yeah, I think more people got arrested there than at Bundy Ranch. All the people, and they, had guns and rifles. Yeah. Rachel Ciotta, thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And if anything comes up, get a hold of me right away, and we'll put you right back on the air. Give everybody an update.
All right. Thank you so much.